Hey folks, I think we're live. I'll wait to hear from you in the down here in the chat before. Chat. Oh, there we go. Before. Someone give me a shout out. I'll make sure that you guys can hear me before we get rolling here. I'm pretty sure you can. We are live. Okay, good. All right. Welcome, my friends. It is, what is the date? Jeez, I'm lost. I don't even know what day it is. This is weird. It's weird. It's just plain weird. It's Tuesday, March the 24th. Let's adjust this a little bit. Friends, we're going to have a blast today. I feel like I'm sitting in I don't know, a great place to be talking about writing songs today. I'm sitting in my wife's writing studio. Hold on, this is going to drive me nuts if I don't get that set. I'm sitting in my wife's writing studio, obviously on my iPhone. Doing everything just from the iPhone. I got my iPad in front of me. I got my computer over here so I can see your commentary. And we're going to have a blast today because we're going to talk all about the chords that work well together. All the chords that go well together. Doesn't matter the key. Doesn't matter major or minor. And then we're also going to talk about chords that you might, for those that are more advanced in regards to songwriting. I'm going to be also talking about borrowed chords today. So whether you are brand new to this idea, whether you've never written a song before, you're going to be able to write a song today. I swear to you. If you take notes, and you don't even have to take that good of notes, you take one screenshot and then just kind of listen to some of the stuff I'm talking about, you literally will be writing your own tune today. And what a great time to be writing a tune. We got lots to talk about, lots to write about, right? Very, very unique time that we are at in this world today, and we're all in it together. So I think something very, 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 very beautiful is going to come out of this. I really, truly do believe that. It's in times of this pressure that we shine. It's the time, that's when we really are called up and that we step up and that things change. So I have a sense, I could be totally wrong, but that's my belief, okay? There you go. So we're gonna talk about chords. We're gonna talk about what chords work together so that you can do this in absolutely any key possible. We're going to be talking about it from the major standpoint. We're going to be talking about it from the minor standpoint. We're going to talk about how to evoke emotion through chords, through melody, through dynamics, volume, through tempo, through strumming rhythms, all of this, okay? I'm also going to get to your questions today. So if you've never played a song before, if you've never written a song before, boom, you're in the right place. If you've written lots of songs before, I promise you I'm going to be showing you stuff that's high level, that even as a songwriter where you've been writing for years, there's stuff I'm probably going to show you that you hadn't considered yet. Okay, not because I'm some amazing songwriter, but I do live with an amazing songwriter. All right, so hell, I sleep with her. So yeah. And we've written some really good songs together. It's my wife, of course. All right, let's get into this. and by the way, also 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm also going to be showing you 8 songs today that break this code that I'm talking about, which is the code of diatonic harmony. So I'm going to show you the code first, then I'm going to show you some that break these codes. Okay, so it's going to be a blast. And these songs, these are like hit songs, okay? So I'm sure they're going to demonetize this video. So whatever, I don't care. I'm going to show you guys anyhow. Okay, here we go. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I need to show you. Oh, by the way, before we get started, listen to me. Listen. Really, really important. Super important. There are things that I'm going to say in this broadcast that are going to go over your head. for some of you. Listen, if you are not in the beginning section of the Unstoppable Guitar System, which I'm giving to you for free, which is in the link below, I'm double checking to make sure, yes it is, it's that first link. It's the YourGuitarSage.com/UGS. If you ask questions, which you can ask any question you want, but if you haven't been through that beginner section, I'm probably just going to refer you to that, because there are some foundational bits here that when I'm talking about this stuff, some of this stuff's going to go over your head. It's not because you're dumb. It's not because you weren't born into a musical family, yada, 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 excuse. It's none of those things. It's only because you don't have the specific tools that are going to associate what I'm saying now to the things that you either know already or that you don't know, but that you have 100% access to right now using UGS. Don't go there right now, open it up in another tab or whatever, but definitely do it later, okay? Absolutely super important, okay? All right, let's talk about the tonal center, and then I have a fun little bit here, which is gonna change your life, okay? This right here is the code, and I'm gonna show it to you in a minute. This is literally the code that is going to unlock all the chords working for you in absolutely any key, major, minor, doesn't matter, okay? All right, so it goes like this. First off, there's something called the tonal center. The tonal center is the musical note, it's the musical chord, I should say it's the one note, it's the one chord that all the other notes and all the other chords revolve around. It's the subject of a speech. It's the subject of a movie. That's what it could be compared to. The title of a movie, the title of this broadcast. It's like you came here to know what chords go well together to write songs, or because you just wanted to see me or do Q&A or whatever. But nonetheless, you came here because you're pretty sure that this is like a dog show or a cooking show. So there's a subject, and then I'm going to stick to that subject, right? And a good song is going to have a tonal center, and it's going to stick to that tonal center hard, okay? You know this innately, but you may not be able to put the labels on it. That's what we're trying to uncover here, right? It's all these labels. So essentially, we're usually in a major key or in a minor key. Yes, technically we could be playing modally, but it happens so infrequently that it might as well not even exist, okay? For those steeped in ego and a musician out there, I'm going to offend you by saying that, because you're going to say, yeah, but what about that 1 in a million time where blah, 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 blah. I'm not talking about that. I know that happens. I've been to music school. Whoop did it do? You and I know the same amount of stuff. Big deal. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about how do you write a song using the chords that like 99.9% of the world uses, because it works. Not because they're boring, but because they work. There's a system. There's a system in place, okay? That's what we're talking about today, but we're also going to talk about it for those that need it. We're also going to talk about those chords that go outside of that, so that we can serve both people today, okay? But just remember, I've said it before, it's kind of like two people talking about something. Right now, there's lots of people talking about a thing, and two people coming at it from two different standpoints, right? Two different versions of it. Whether that's politically or whatever, doesn't matter. Just think about that for a minute. They're talking about the same things, they're using the same words, but they have two different ways that they're looking at this. And we can think about major and minor as the same thing. If you go up to a piano and you play all the white keys, that's either the key of C or the key of A minor, okay? Every major key has a related minor key. Every minor key has a related major key. And the only thing that means is that the notes and the chords are the exact same. So for instance, if I'm playing in the key of C major, I'm going to have a C major chord, an A minor chord, a B minor chord, F major, G major. Hold on, let me do this again. Let me go backwards. You're going to have C major, D minor, E minor, F major, G major, A minor, B diminished, or B minor flat 5 chord. That's what you're going to have, okay? in every major key, you have a related minor key. In every minor key, you have a related major key. And that's going to be important later on. Okay, so let's talk about this first off if we're talking about a major key. Okay, so first off, if we're in the major key, right? Let's say it's C, we have C. You know this, your ear knows this, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, back to 1 or 8. That's why it's called the octave. Oct, like octopus, 8 notes in the scale. You get it? Got it? Good. All right, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. Okay? Now, this is a tonal center, but so is this. This is a tonal center too. This is the 6. So if we have a song that's in a minor key, then we can think of it, it's the same set of chords, but we can think about the 6 as being the tonal center. So again, remember I said 2 people on the internet not agreeing about something. I know you're going to be really hard pressed to find this, but let's just say it's out there somewhere. Someone doesn't agree with somebody on the internet, and they're talking about the same exact things. In this case, with music, you're talking about the same notes, the same chords, but in one case, they're leaning towards being this, and in the other case, they're leaning towards being this. Well, what does that mean? Well, that means, Randy's asking, is there a PDF on this? There is inside of my Unstoppable Guitar System course, but not available today. That's why you got this. You're going to want to screenshot this, okay? So, I'm going to give you some examples here, but let's take your basic, and oh, by the way, the green chords here are major, the red chords are minor, and the blue chord is diminished, okay? These are the chords that appear in a major or minor key 99% of the time. There are some other chords down here that I'm going to show you later. They're called borrowed chords. Don't worry about those right now. I shouldn't even have put those up there. It's going to confuse you. I'm taking them off because that's going to confuse you. So they're gone. See ya. But I'll show them to you later, okay? So that's really what I want you to have, okay? Now we're going to go over this example here, okay? We're going to go over some song examples, some ones that you know, and I'm going to put this right here so you got it there, okay? Let's say I'm in the key of G, okay? That G is the 1. Now watch this. I'm going to go up the scale, the G major scale. If you don't know the G major scale, if you don't know the basic construction of a scale, Unstoppable Guitar System in the beginner section, I'm giving that to you for free today. The link is below. But you got to know this. And it goes like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. You can find any major scale by just playing the first note and then using this pattern. Half step is the distance between one fret and the next, and 2 frets is a whole step. So we start on any note. It doesn't matter. In this case here it's a G. So watch this. We follow this pattern. Whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half. Watch this. Here's our first note. We say whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half. Okay? You don't have to know that right now. You've got the course later on, okay? Nonetheless, we can also play the scale like this, or like this, or like this. There's so many different ways we could play it. But nonetheless, we got that major scale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. And if we were to give a flavor to each one of these chords, major, minor, minor, major, major, minor, diminished, major, then it would sound like this. Here we are, key of G. G major, A minor, B minor. Let's call them by the numbers, shall we? 1 major, 2 minor, 3 minor, 4 major, 5 major, 6 minor, 7 diminished, or also known as a minor flat 5. Back to our 1. Okay? We could do this for any key, doesn't matter. If we took the key of C, take C major, here's C. Or using this version of it, right? Key of C. So we have major 1, minor 2, minor 3, major 4, major 5, minor 6, diminished 7, or minor flat 5, and then back to our 1 again. Get it? Got it? Good. This works for every single key. It doesn't matter what key you're in, it works. It has from the beginning of time and it will to the end of time. Amen. In every genre, on every instrument. It's just the same. It's just like literally the fingerprint of music. And this happens 99% of the time. There are exceptions to it, but they're rare. Okay, so I drank a ton of coffee right before this broadcast. Uh-oh. Okay, we'll worry about that later. All right, so let's talk about this. So, you know, you've heard lots of songs like this, right? Sometimes I feel life is just a rodeo. Right, you've heard that one? Or Best Friend's Girl, or 10 million other songs that go like that, right? This is the 1, this is the 4, and this is the 5. 1, 4, 5. They're major chords. Major 1, major 4, major 5. That is a very natural chord progression. Here's another very natural chord progression. A 1, minor 6, 4, 5. Right, we're in the key of G. 1, minor 6, 4, 5. Right? That's in the key of G. If we did this in the key of C, it's going to sound the same. It's just going to sound like it's in a different key. Kind of like someone going, happy birthday to you. Or they said, happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Like different keys, right? That last one was wrong. But you get the idea. We have a tonal center, and then all the other notes and chords are related to the tonal center. But it's kind of, I don't know. I have a million analogies for that. Hopefully you get this. If you don't, you got the course, okay? So here you go. In the key of C, though, if we did a 1, minor 6, 4, 5, it would sound like this. 1, minor 6, 4, 5. Or C, A minor, 4. Get it? Okay, so now, those are the basic chords that we're hearing all the time. And in fact, if you want to write a song, the most important chord is arguably the 1 chord, because it's your tonal center, if you will. Dear Lord, look at that. Is that a python in my shirt? Look at that. I think it's just my shirt and the angle here. Or I have a giant bicep and tricep. Okay, sorry. And my wife is right there, so. All right, so, sorry. Right, so we got the 1, 4, 5, minor 6, and those are the chords that appear the most. The 1, and then the 5 chord, and then the 4 chord, and then the minor 6. In that order, if you evaluated like thousands and thousands of songs. Then probably the minor 3, the minor 2, and then the 7 diminished, but only like in classical and sometimes in jazz. Otherwise, in pop music, oftentimes it's called a flat 7 chord. We'll get to that in a minute, okay? So if you want to write a song, you've got your chords, you've got some strumming, you've got finger picking, that sort of thing. We'll get to all that in a minute. But essentially, this is our chord structure that we've got. So, let's take, God, I don't know. There's a million songs that we could use. How about hear the train a-coming, it's rolling around the bend. And I ain't seen the sunshine since I don't know when. I'm stuck in Folsom Prison. Time keeps dragging on. And I hear that whistle, I don't know, on down to San Antonio. right? So those chords there, that song's in the key of E major. It doesn't matter what the tonal center is, the chords will match this like almost always, okay? So in this case here we have an E major. E is the tonal center, okay? So we have an E major, we have an A major, we have a B7, also known as a major. It's, you know, a B7 chord is a major chord, but with the flatted 7 added to it. So basically we have a 1, a 4, and a 5. That's our 4 chord. That's our 5 chord, you know. Let's take a basic blues chord progression. Right, we got that. We got that our A minor. We got our E7. So if it's in the key of A, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. You always have to refer back to your major scale. So in this case here, we have the 1, we have the 4, we got the 5. We got the A, got the D, got the E, and here's our A. Here's our D. And then we have our E, back to our D, back to our 1. So we got a 1, 4, 5 happening there the whole time, right? Let's see what else. Let's see if you guys mentioned anything. CCR or Buddy Holly. I mean, pretty much any song by those guys, for sure. Someone's saying, isn't this the Nashville number system? The Nashville number system is what we use to interpret this stuff, but before the Nashville number system was just music, and it abided by these rules, right? When we're talking about music theory, Nashville number system, and what have you, those are just labels that help us to identify things, so that it wasn't that before it was just music, okay? All right, so we got our basic chord progression there. Let's do this, just for kicks and giggles, for those who are more advanced guitar players, or songwriters. We're going to get into the second part of this program here, which is going to be these borrowed chords, okay? But I want to serve you well and talk about writing a song, because I said that you could write a song today, and I truly mean that. You 100% could write a song today. This is what you need to do. First off, pick a tonal center. But Eric, what tonal center? There's 12 of them. It doesn't matter. It's paint. Just grab a paintbrush and start painting. As a little kid, you weren't thinking, well, what key? Well, what tempo? Well, what strumming rhythm? Well, what? Don't fall apart. Be like a little kid who's painting. Those kids don't think about anything. They're like, I want this paint and I want that paint, and they start smearing. And that's it, and they're having fun. You need to think the same in regards to music. So don't get so technical. Have some fun with this. It's my mantra, and it will serve you well, okay? So, pick a key, doesn't matter. Usually people pick easy keys like the key of G or the key of C. Don't be that person who thinks that picking a hard key to play in like B flat or F or something like that you're going to get a better song out of it. You're not. You're just going to make it harder for yourself. So don't be that guy. There's always that guy or that gal in music who is puffed up with ego, and they think that making things harder means anybody's going to give a crap. No one cares. Okay, what people care about is good music. That's all they care about. They don't care how you got there. Just play good music. Every now and then there's someone wanting to see you do some crazy things on the guitar like this. But if it doesn't sound good at the end of the day, I don't care what someone's doing, okay? Just play a good song at the end of the day, okay? So, pick a key. Usually G and C are real easy ones because, in fact, I'm gonna go ahead and assign you this to make things easier so you don't have to make decisions so much, right? I've been watching The Good Place a lot lately, which if you haven't watched that, watch it. But there's a guy on there by the name of Chidi, and he's super funny, and he can't make a decision to save his life. That's like what his curse is. He just can't make a decision, and so if you're like that, I'm gonna help you out here, and I'm gonna say, pick a key, G or C, okay? Because those two keys are super easy to play chords in. All right, super easy. And if you watch my chord noodling video on YouTube, just search Your Guitar Sage chord noodling, you'll even have all the fun little bits that go along with it. You know, so you can do stuff like, been a while since I've played this one. That's all in the key of C, no sharps or flats from what I recall there. Yeah, so super easy in regards to understanding what's happening here, okay? Watch that chord noodling video because it's basically what I just did there on crack, what I just did. So I just added a bunch more, okay? Okay, so we got our chords. So I'm gonna subscribe or prescribe to you. Speaking of subscribe, if you're not subscribed already, subscribe. But I'm going to prescribe to you to play in the key of G or the key of C, okay? And I'll tell you what those chords are in just a minute. We're gonna use this as a little test, okay? If you haven't already, like this video and please share it right now. There are other folks who are in the same boat as you, and by sharing this, you're helping them to get out of the doldrums and be creative and do something fun, okay? So let's do that. All right, so let's use this. So if we were using the key of G, look, here are the chords. G major, A minor, B minor, C major, D major, E minor. Okay, that's all we're doing is we're going through the scale. So use G or C. If you need more help with this, you're gonna have to go into the beginner section of UGS because I need to proceed further for folks that need the deeper stuff we're talking about, okay? I think I've spent enough time on that. I don't wanna wear you guys out. So, key of G or key of C. But Eric, what tempo do I choose? Okay, what kind of mood are you in? Because if you're in a happy mood, or if you want to be in a happy mood, you want to play something that's up, that's fast in tempo, and you also want to play something that's louder, so dynamically louder, something like this, right? Hear the train a-coming, rolling around the bend, right? It's hard to be sad when that's going on. But let's change this around. Let's say I do the same chords and I do this. Okay, so even though you have that song stuck in your head, me slowing it down, me getting quieter is gonna calm your heart rate, everything, just a little bit. So much so that it's gonna lend itself more towards a sadder song. There's plenty of songs that are like this. That are sad songs. That's in a major key. So it's not just about major and minor. It also has to do with the tempo of the song, how fast you're doing it, and it also has to do with dynamics, how loud it is. So if you need help with this, I'm going to say pick something that's faster, so with a faster strum, and something that's louder, okay? So if you don't want to do that, then that means you have something in mind and you're going to run with it. Otherwise, if you need help with making a decision, I'm going to say key of C, key of G, do something that's faster and also something that has more dynamics. It's louder, okay? We need more happiness right now from folks. So get up, make something happy, right? Otherwise, you know what you want. What about finger picking or strumming, Eric? I'm glad you asked. If you want something to be a little bit more sobering and you want people to take it more seriously, and this is a rule of thumb, I find that finger picking is a great way to do that because there's a lot more going on, a lot more for the ear to listen to, okay? So if you like finger picking, then if you want to do finger picking, great. If you want to do something that's more serious, you know, in the same key, E major, this has a 1-4-5 in it, just like Folsom Prison Blues. This is a song I wrote. And it's a more sobering song. It's about my father who died in 94. And about a bunch bunch of other stuff that happened after he died. That anyhow, it's a very sobering tune, and there's a lot to it. So that one's not. Hey, it's not like that, right? So what I like to do is I like to take a few chords, pick a key or whatever, take a few chords, and I like to get in the emotion of whatever it is that I'm feeling. I feel it, and then I just kind of close my eyes maybe, or just, what comes out is what comes out. If I'm feeling kind of sobering, kind of sober, and it's a rainy day out today, so I might be a little bit more down, so I might be like this, or it might be in a minor key, whatever it is, okay? So you pick the tempo. You pick the strumming. If you want to strum, you want me to pick a strum for you, do the last one in level 5 of the strumming exercises that I'm giving you today for free inside of UGS. It's the one that goes like this: 1, 2, and 4, and 1, 2, and 4, and. Okay? All right. Now I didn't address minor key. Let's talk about it really quickly. If you want to do the same thing in a minor key, you'd use all the same chords. It's just that the 6 now is your emphasis, okay? So for instance, if we were in the key of G and I wanted to emphasize the 6, okay? Now what I'm gonna do is the 6 is 1, 7, 6. So there's my 6. So I could do something like this. I could do the 6 minor, I could do the 2 minor and the 3 minor. That's sad. Or if I wanted to add some finger picking to it. So this would be 6 minor. Let's see, 6 minor. 5, 3 minor, 1. So that's a different chord progression, and I'm finger picking. Okay, so now I'm finger picking and it sounds more sobering again. So if you want to do something in a major key, you're going to emphasize that chord. You're probably going to start the chord progression off on this chord. And you can use some of the other ones. The more major chords you use, the more up it's going to sound, the happier it's going to sound. Without saying any lyrics at all. I mean, forget about the lyrics. We hadn't even gotten to that, which we probably won't talk about. We're just going to talk about music today. I'm trying to get my wife to do the program here. Since she's like in the other room. But we also have a child that she's looking after, a little guy. So there's that. So we're gonna try to do this. I'm gonna try to have her on hopefully this week when the little guy goes down for a nap or something. So it'd be cool, right? Have a hit song right around here. That'd be cool. All right, so I've lost my train of thought. The tonal center is gonna be the 1. If you want to do something in a minor key, that's what we're doing right now. We're emphasizing that minor key, okay? Okay. So you can do lots of stuff with finger picking or strumming, tempo of the song, dynamics. You've got the key picked out for you. I've said C major, G major. Those would be great. Or their derivatives, their minor derivatives, which would be E minor, A minor. Same sets of chords, okay? So there you go. Yeah, you're playing something in a major key. That's where I was going. The more major chords you use, the happier it's going to sound. But when we put that minor chord in there, it's going to sound sadder. Okay. Now, if you're going to start something in a minor key, someone just reminded me there in the chat. Thank you so much. Start your chord progression off on that minor key. So if it's if you're using the chords in C major, which are the same that are in A minor, then start with the A minor, and that's going to I don't have a pick. Here we go. Here's a pick. sad, right? That's in an A minor key, and that's using a lot of the chords from A minor. We're going to talk about the where they went outside though here in just a minute. God, I haven't even gotten to that yet, and we're like an hour in or so, aren't we? Oh no, we're not. We're only a half hour in. Okay, good. I got plenty of time. All right. You guys ain't going anywhere, are you? Neither am I. All right. So, all right. So we talked about major, minor key. If you're going to play something in a minor key, if you want it to sound sad, you're going to emphasize a lot of those minor notes. Okay. We'll get to the questions in a bit here. Let's talk about some variations of this. Okay. So earlier I had written some things down here, right? And I'm going to do it again. So I'm going to say these are variations, okay? It's raining like crazy out there. These are also known as borrowed chords. Borrowed, which I have videos for. In fact, if you search YourGuitarSage borrowed chords on YouTube, you'll find it. Also, within UGS, which is free today, which I've told you about, you can literally join the movement today for free. The first link that's underneath this video will help establish your foundation amazingly. And if you're in UGS already, you'll know that there's a whole borrowed chords course talking about this stuff that we're talking about. Okay, so let me talk about this. So borrowed chords are basically this. It's when you take a chord from another key and you use it instead of the chord that it should be. And I'll have to show you an example here for this to make sense. Let's call this a flat 7 chord. Now there's a lot more than what I'm about to show you here, but these are the most common ones, okay? So you can see that if we're in the key of, well, it doesn't matter whether we're in the minor key or the major key, the two should be minor. I say should be, and what I mean by should be is according to the major scale. If we were, we come across this by using harmony. So if we take the 1, the 3, and the 5 from the major scale, it creates a major 1. If we take the 2, the 4, and the 6 from the major scale, it creates a minor chord, okay? That creates a formula of a minor chord. You have to understand a bit about intervals, which I show you inside of the inside of classic, or inside of standard, I should say, UGS standard. So I show this to you. If you take the 3, the 5, and the 7, we're skipping. You can see we're skipping notes. That's called harmonizing. Then you have a minor 3. If you take the 4, the 6, and the 1 again, then you're going to get a major chord, and so on and so forth. If you take the 5, the 7, and the 2, then or the 9, then you're going to get a major chord. And you take the 6 and the 1 and the 3, then you're going to get a minor chord, and then the 7 and the 2 and the 4, then you're going to get a diminished or a minor flat 5 chord. It's just the way it works. And if you don't want to know all that stuff, that's okay. Then just trust me that the chords are major, minor, minor, major, major, minor, diminished. Okay? And since that's what we have established via diatonic harmony, or thanks to the major scale. Okay? Now, if we want to go outside of this, we can make that 2 a major, or make the 3 a major, or take the 4 and make it minor, or the 5 and make it minor, or take the minor 6 and make it a major 6. Minor 6, make it 6. And the diminished 7 is oftentimes known as a flat 7 chord. So we actually drop the bass note back a half step and make it a major chord. This happens a lot in country music, and also it happens a lot in Americana, Southern rock, and that sort of thing. But it happens in a lot of other genres as well. Okay, so let's take an example. Let's take a few examples like these. And oh, by the way, when we're borrowing a chord, basically what we're doing is it's also known as a mutation. It's also known as a temporary key change, chordal interchange. There's a lot of different words for it, but essentially what we're doing, because we're going outside of our subject, of our musical subject. In this case here, our subject of this broadcast is what chords go well together to write songs, live, and a Q&A, which we're going to get to. Right? There's that. That's what you're expecting to see. If I break out the pots and I start making a cake here, you're going to be confused because that's not the subject of what we're talking about here. Similarly, if we have a musical subject, we're in a particular key, and these chords are the ones that normally appear. But we can go outside of this, okay? We can go outside of this with these borrowed chords. But when we do, warning, what we're doing is we're changing the subject of the song. And I use this example all the time. If we're talking about cars and then I start talking about sharks in the middle of our conversation about cars, we're two car dealers, we're at an auction, we're talking about cars, and I start talking about sharks, and you're like, what is up with Frico over here, Mr. Shark Man, talking about sharks? Why is he doing that? Because I've changed the subject, and that's awkward, right? In the middle of a conversation. But, and I use this analogy all the time, if I'm talking about the 57 Chevy that I own, and it's got this fin in the back that looks like a shark, and I say that to you, you know, 57 Chevy, it's got that giant fin in the back like a shark. You're like, oh yeah, I know what you're talking about. That's not weird because I'm using a concrete example from over here to emphasize what it is that I'm talking about. And that's what we're doing here, is that if a song calls for it, and there's no math reason why it would call for it, it's just a creative bit. It's subjective. You're a painter. It's like, I want to make the sun purple. Boom, do it. Okay? There's not a reason that the sun should be purple. You just decide to paint it that way. This is what art's about. So this isn't something you want to think about too much. Although you can shoehorn these in. You can be just like, I'm going to try this. I used to do that all the time in music school. I'd learn something new and I'd be like, oh, I'm going to go home, and I would learn it from some Bach chorale or something, and I'd go with my guitar and I'd go home and apply it and create it right away, which was awesome. Okay, so we're going to do that. We're going to use some song examples. So with that being said, use these with caution, and what I mean by that is essentially you're changing the key if you're using one of these chords. So you want to get in and get out right back to the key again. Otherwise, you're officially changing the key. So the most I've seen is maybe 2 of these chords used together. You get more than that, and you start getting outside of the tonal center. And you'll hear exactly what I'm talking about. Okay, let's use some examples. I'm sure you know one of these, okay? So, let's see. I'm a creep, right? You've heard this song? I'm a weirdo. The hell am I doing here? I don't belong here. Okay, so let's analyze this. This song has a G, it has a B, it has a C major, it has a C minor. If we're playing in the key of G, which is the key of G, then the G, the 1 should be major, and the B should be minor. 1, 2, 3 should be a minor, but it's not. They play it as a major chord. Roy, thank you so much for the donation, my friend. I gotta read this. Yeah, being disabled, I'm stuck at home. Anyhow, but with what is going on, and it's harder to get out now, I appreciate you're doing these streams. It really puts me at ease and gives me hope for the human race. Love you, bro. Roy, thank you so much. And Roy is a man, I just love this guy. He has been with me for a long time, and we've talked online a lot. Roy, thank you so much for that donation, buddy. I truly appreciate it, and I appreciate you. And yeah, let's take a second, man, because I usually do this in the beginning of the program, but I was so excited to show you this stuff today. This is the first time in history of the world that we know of, right, that we've been in this place. It's a pretty unique place. Usually when things are going down, it's usually in one particular country. In this case here, it's the whole world, and our ears are attentive, and it's as if the universe is shaking us and trying to get our attention in some way. And I think it is. I think it is if you want it to be, and it won't be if you don't want it to be. But I think it is huge, and I think it's bringing us together as a people. It's bringing us together as a world. I think we're seeing that we could all love each other a lot more. We could all give a lot more, and we need to focus on things that are important and not on things that aren't important. And we know what those things are. We know in our hearts. Okay? Thank you, Roy. Super kind, bud. So we're all in this together, indeed. All right, so we got that, we got a G major, we have a B major, we have a C major. major and a C minor. So the chords should be, according to diatonic harmony, should be a G major. The 3 chord should be minor, but it's not. They play a major chord. And then they play that C major and then a C minor. So the 4 chord is major, and then they also play it as a minor. Pretty cool, right? Let's take another one, Sitting on the Dock of the Bay. So, sitting in the morning sun, and do you know the lyrics? Good for you. I've never been a lyric guy. Sitting on the dock of the bay, watching the tide roll away. Or much of a singing guy. Sitting on the dock of the bay, wasting time. Right? So let's analyze this song here. Watch this. We got a G. Let's just analyze it according to the key we're in, and we'll call the numbers out, okay? So, I gotta put this up on something here. How about a candle? Let's do that. I think you'll probably see it better there. Yeah, you will. Okay, so watch this. So we have Sitting on the Dock of the Bay, right? So we have we're in the key of G. So this is our tonal center, G. All right. Now watch this. It's a B7. A 7th chord is a major chord with a flatted 7. Don't get bothered by that. Let's just call it a major chord. So the 3, boom, is major. So they borrowed that chord, right? That's an A major, which is the 2. It should be minor. But what have they done? They've made it major. They're crazy. Right? I forgot who wrote this one. I've met him, though. Steve Cropper. Steve Cropper. Godfather of rock and roll, if you will. I mean, yeah, he's just written so many hits. All right, right. This song has 3 borrowed chords. So sitting on the dock of the bay, the tide go away. Sorry about the singing. It's the morning, and it's the way that I sing. So here's a G. Now there's an E major. So we go from the 1 to the 6 minor. No, the 6 major. So he borrowed a 2 major, 3 major, and a 6 major. Didn't use them all together though. Used them in separate places. Pretty cool, right? Let's take one of my favorite songs ever. If you've been watching my Instagram chat, you know that my kid loves this tune right now. My baby don't mess around because she loves me so, and this I know for sure. Right, so we have a G major. This is the 1, 4, 5, 6 major, right? Because it should be 6 minor, but let's not do that because this song's awesome. So we have a 1 major, 4 major, 5 major, and a 6 major. It's borrowed. What? Yeah. This is the part that I was talking about in the program, friends, that we would look at if you're more advanced when it comes to music and you want to become better. You want to add some great songs to your bit here. And if you have these songs that you can go back to, then boom, you're set. Okay. By the way, I have a whole series on this, what I'm talking about right now, where I'm using songs like this to compare so that we can see what it is that we're trying to go for, right? It's good to have these like real world songs to work from. A donation just came in, Dave Covert. Roy inspired me. Thank you so much, Dave. So appreciate that during this time. I really honestly do. And if you want to donate, the bottom left and part of the screen, you'll see a smiley face, and right next to that, there's a little money sign. If you click on that, there's a way that you can donate if you would like to donate to the fund here. Okay, beautiful. All right, let's look at another one. Let's look at House of the Rising Sun, right? You guys know this one. So the chords go like this. So we're going to analyze this as if it's in the key of C major. But again, it doesn't matter what key we're in, the chords are related. They're relative to each other. So it doesn't matter. It's like the distance, okay? This is a foot, whether it's right here, or let's say that's a foot. This is a foot, and so is this. They're in different places in the universe, but they're a foot, okay? So same thing, we're talking about a key, a tonal center, and the chords and the notes that are related to it. It's like this tonal center may be a C, it may be a G, it may be an A, it may be an E. It doesn't matter. All the notes and the chords relate to it in the same way, just like that foot can move back and forth between the universe, okay? Okay, so let's look at this. So the tonal center is C major. Actually, the tonal center is the 6. That's what the tonal center is. But the chords are the same. So let's analyze this. So we have a A minor. It's the 6. Okay, then we go to the 1. Then we go to a D major, which should be minor, but they borrowed it from another key. So it's a C major, D major, and then we have that's an F, which is a 4 chord, and then the A minor, C major, or I should say 6 minor, 1, that's major, that's E major, should be minor, so they borrowed it. It's a 3 chord. Now, I'm specifically showing you songs that have borrowed chords in them. I'm specifically showing you. So you might say, Eric, you said that this is 99% of the time, and every song that you've shown us has these borrowed chords. I know, it's just grab my favorite songs with borrowed chords in them. Okay, these are oddballs. Most songs, if you were to analyze all the songs, all the pop songs, pop, rock, blues, country, jazz, you're going to find that 99% of them stick to this. These are the weirdos that we're talking about, and they're beautiful weirdos, okay? Just like you and me, all right? All right, so let's take another one. Let's take Refugee by Tom Petty, right? Right? Love this song? Me too, thank you. It don't make no difference to me, baby. Everybody's got the right to be free and set it down. Right, so cool. So let's analyze this as if we're in the key of G major. So that's our 1, right? Really, the song's in a minor key. So let's say that's our tonal center, okay? Same set of chords, nothing changes, right? So we got 1, a 6 minor, 1, 5. That's a D chord. So we got 6 minor, 1, 5. Around some, right? And then we got this big old A. Should be minor, right? That sounds boring. Instead, it's. So now we got a 2 major. We got the C chord there again, which is a 4, normal 4. Okay, cool. Let's do 3 more, and then we're going to get to your questions. Cool? All right, cool. Excellent. And in the meanwhile, friends, if you would, I'd like you to do 2 things. Underneath this video right now, if you haven't already, please click that thumbs up. That lets me know that you want me to continue to do what I'm doing here. If it's helping you, please take a moment and do that. Also, there's a share button there. If you can share that in some way, it's going to give you an option to do it in some way. Send that out to Twitter land. Send that out into Instagram land. I don't even know where that would go. I'm going to check it. Okay, so you could send, right? You could send that to Twitter. You could send that, you could text that to a friend. You could do all sorts of things. Take the time and do that if you would. I really would appreciate that. Thank you. Okay, let's look at another one. Comfortably Numb. Am I going to do that one? Nah, I'm not going to do that many more. I'll do Comfortably Numb. I said it. I know there's some Pink Floyd fans out there is like, what? Okay, so here we go. So let's look at Pink Floyd's Comfortably Numb. This is a cool one because this is actually in 2 different keys, and it goes back and forth between major and minor, so it's actually a great example. Tonal center 1, tonal center minor 6, which I said, really, those are our 2 only tonal centers, our 2 legit tonal centers. Thank you, Emmy, for tweeting this. So kind. Those are our only real legit tonal centers. People will make videos on YouTube saying, no, this song was written in the Dorian mode and everything else. And yeah, yes, technically, but it doesn't, there's reasons why it's kind of low in the mix and what have you, like a bass line or whatever, like Bjork wrote something, and it's like this raging bass line that has hints of Dorian to it, but it's like, to write a song outside of these 2, there's a reason why it doesn't happen hardly ever, 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 ever. When it does, it's weird. Okay, so just trust me on that. Yeah, just trust me on that. Okay, so, all right, now let's talk about this. Comfortably Numb. So we have this song, D major. Its related minor key is B minor. By the way, quick fun little bit here. If you're in a major key, anytime you want to find the related minor key, go back 2 scale steps or 3 half steps. So we're in the key is D. If you want to find what the related minor is, the related minor is always in every single country, on every single instrument, in every single genre, since the beginning of time to the end of time, amen. You just go back 3 half steps. So here's the 1. Watch this. 1, 2, 3, there's the related minor. And in any minor key that you're in, if you go up 3 half steps, every single key, every single genre, on every single instrument, in every single country since the beginning of time to the end of time, amen, you go up 3 half steps. Watch this. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, that's the related major. Easy enough, right? Okay, so this song toggles back and forth between the 2. It shares the chords, the same sets of chords. It also borrows some chords, sneaky little players that they are. Okay, so watch this. So we have, this is the first solo, right? This is D major. This is a 1, then an A, which is a 5 chord. Then a 1, and then a 5. Now here's our borrowed chord. That C chord doesn't belong. That's what we call a flat 7 chord, because here's our 1 chord, which is a D. So the C chord is what's called a flat 7 chord. We take the 7th scale step of D major, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, which is a C sharp. Agreed? I'm waiting for you to shake your head. Okay, there you go, thanks. So C sharp, right, that's the 7. So we're gonna go back a half step. That's why it's called a flat 7, because that was the 7, a sharp 7, so we're flattening the 7, and it's also, it's a major chord. I'm singing back up in harmony with you, keep us going through, oh, I missed it. Brent just did a donation. Thank you so much, Brent. I'm singing back up in harmony with you, keep us going through these tough times. Sure thing, Brent. Indeed. Thank you so much for the donation, my friend. Super duper kind. So we got, right, so we got this. Okay. Then we got that C chord, right? And that C chord is the flat 7 chord. And then we have a G, which is just the 4 chord. Flat 7. Child, I had a fleeting glimpse, right? Okay, so we got that part, right? Now, there's a second chord progression in here, which takes on the tonal center of the minor part, right? The related minor, 3 half steps down, as we just learned. 1, 2, 3. There we go, right? Now let's make that our tonal center. 2 people talking about the same thing. They're using the same notes. They're using the same chords. They're talking about the same words. But depending on the way they believe, they're going to present it a certain way, right? Such is the world that we live in. Unless you pull the veil back and then you see things as they are, which is what we're doing here, okay? So now we have, this is the minor version, okay? Tonal center, B minor. A, okay, well let's call it 5. So we have 6 minor. This is an A, which is the 5 chord. And then we have the 4. Walk it down to the 3 minor. And back to the 6 minor. 6 minor, which is a B minor. We're gonna walk. Boom, boom, to the 5, that's it. A. And then we're walking it down. That's our G, which is the 4. Walk it down. Oh, I'm sorry, this was a 2 minor. That was a 2 minor, not a 3 minor. I said that earlier. Makes sense? Isn't this a beautiful example, Comfortably Numb? Because we're talking about 2 different tonal centers, but still using the same chords, and we're using those borrowed chords. What? I know. Pink Floyd, one of the best bands in the history of bands. If you don't agree, we can't be friends. No, we can be. That's all right. You just don't get it. Now, I get it. Some people just don't like that vibe. But, man, listen to The Wall. Listen to The Final Cut. Listen to Animals. Listen to, oh, my gosh, Dark Side of the Moon. Those 4, 5 albums, because that's a double, The Wall. My God, life-changing albums for me. Life-changing. Especially The Wall. Listen to The Wall. Start right in the beginning there and listen to that thing. Put headphones on. Oh my God, that album, dude, from beginning to end is just replete with amazing chords, beautiful melodies, and all the rest. If you don't like that style, I get it, but give it a chance because it's bonkers. That album just changed my life. Okay, so we got that. Okay, let's talk, for those country fans out there, let's talk Before He Cheats. This is Carrie Underwood, right? I mentioned her before. My wife wrote a song on that same album that this one appears on. In fact, I went, one of the guys that wrote this song, someone can name it for me because I don't hang out with this guy all the time, but the guy that wrote that song, one of the guys that wrote it, his name is Chris, and I forgot his last name because it's not like we hang out all the time, but we were hanging out this one night. It was around Christmas. Oh, no, sorry, it was around New Year's Eve because we went to a haunted house. And Chris, this guy, we went to the haunted house and it was so funny. He was making me laugh so hard because he was like afraid of clowns, but like legitimately afraid of clowns. And Chris, if you're watching, I apologize if I let that out of the bag, but you made me laugh so hard because he was freaking out over clowns. And I mean, I don't love clowns either. Who likes a clown, right? Why in heaven's name was there a time when we had clowns at parties? I had a clown at a party once when I was a kid. Bobo the Clown. I mean, doesn't that just sound like a lawsuit? Yes, it does. Clowns. No more clowns, folks. No kid wants a clown. Okay. All right, so Before He Cheats, this song, written by Chris and who else? I don't know. But it goes like this. It's capoed at the 2nd fret. Doesn't matter because this is the tonal center. Actually, the tonal center would be, as if we're acting like we're in E minor, okay? In fact, I tell you what, I wouldn't even play it with the capo. I'll play it without for folks that don't have a capo right now. So it goes something like this. You've heard this song, right? I don't know the lyrics, okay? But the chords are pretty cool. E minor, D, C, B7. If we're acting like the song has a tonal center of G major or its related minor key of E minor, 1, 2, 3, then the 6 is our minor, and our chords are 1, 5. We're going from an E to a D to a C to a B. So we're going right down the scale, even though it doesn't look like it. We're grabbing all these chords, but essentially if you add up the notes, right, you got E, D, C, B, E, D, C, B. Chris Tompkins, thank you. Chris Tompkins, that's who I went to the haunted house with. Chris Tompkins, you're afraid of clowns. And guess what? I stand with you, my friend. I stand with you. I don't like them either. Linda, thank you so much for the donation. I appreciate that. Chris Tompkins, that's who it was. But you write a badass song. I love this song. I love anything to do with these borrowed chords like Chris did here, okay? So here we got a 6 minor, a 5 major, a 4 major, and this chord here, this B7, normally would be a minor chord. But instead, it's used a lot of times when we have a tonal center of a 6 minor. So this is very common. 6 minor, 5, 4, and then a 3 major, but then make it a 7th chord. Lots of like spaghetti western style type songs that use this, you know. Okay, right? So that's Before He Cheats. Love that one. Now here's the last one I'm gonna do, and then we're gonna get to some questions, okay? Sleepwalk by Santo and Johnny. By Santo and Johnny. I think RJ Ronquillo might have a version of this that he did. I'm pretty sure. After this broadcast, check him out. If you don't know RJ, great player, great guy, great guitar player. And I think he has a version of this that he does. It's really beautiful. And if he doesn't, I don't know where the hell I'm getting that from, but I'm pretty sure he does. Sleepwalk by by Santo and Johnny. Now, what's cool about this one, this is why I saved this one for last, is they took arguably the strongest chord progression that's ever existed, a 1, minor 6, 4, 5, and they changed it. The classic chord progression that is so ingrained in our brains goes like this. Right? It's just a classic 50s chord progression. Right? But what they did is this. They said, oh, what? So there's a major 1, we're in the key of C, by the way. Major 1, minor 6, minor 4, what? And a major 5. Isn't that cool? Minor 4, 5. Doesn't that sound beautiful? Golly, I love that. So there you go. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 song examples that give you that borrowed chord vibe, but then you got this too, okay? Now, that was a long-ass lesson. I want to make sure that I get to your questions because this stuff's really important if you want to write a song, okay? So let's get to some questions, and I can safely do that now, can't I? All right, good. That was fun. Friends, if you haven't already, go ahead and like this and please share this with a friend, okay? All right, let's get to some questions. Ooh. Okay. How do you know which borrowed chords are going to work when writing a song? Mike, it's like a color. You make them work. So you have to experiment, okay? And you don't want to get so set into a pattern like, well, always when this chord follows, you should use this chord, because then you're not going to get creative. So what I want you to do is I want you to experiment with some of this stuff. That's why I gave you these song examples. If you're in UGS, I've got more song examples. I go into more detail than what I've done with you here today. But you want to have examples as opposed to this is the way to say things. But it's a good question. I get what you're saying. This will be posted so you can rewatch this. Yes, it's true. It will be. And I feel like you had something else to say there, and I want to make sure. Yeah, how do you know which borrowed chords are going to work when writing a song? Yeah, that's true. So just experiment, but only experiment with one at a time, okay? Okay, James Judson is saying, I want to figure out chords of songs by ear, question mark. I'm going to say yes, you do. There's a question mark after that. I'm going to say yes, you do, James. I know what you're looking for. You're looking for an answer for that, James. So on YouTube, search YourGuitarSage ear. You have to get your ear used to, there's my little neighbor, my little old lady neighbor. She's so sweet, Mary Lou. I just wanted to check on her, but at the same time, I want to social distance myself from her. I just saw her come out of her house, so she's good. I know you were concerned. So, on YouTube, YourGuitarSage ear. Search for that video and do that. Inside of Unstoppable Guitar System, I have something called Hum and Hunt. And essentially what you're doing is you're humming a note, and then you're going to find it. Or take a melody. Pick a melody out. How do you find the note, Eric? You keep searching until you find it. This is a developed thing, okay? But watch the video on that I'm talking about. I do not know a lot of music theory, but if you alt tune, does all this variation go out the window? No, it totally works for alternate tunings, but you would have to know what chords are major and what chords are minor, which if you don't know much theory and you're changing the tuning of your guitar, then you're just putting yourself in a situation where you're probably not going to be able to identify anything. So I wouldn't do that. Also, can you go over the best methods for finding voice leading with slash chords? I cover that inside the program. Essentially, you know, when you're going from, here's two freebies for you, Tom. When you're going from a C chord to an A minor chord, you could go C, E minor 7 / G. So you know what slash chords are, then you know what this is. E minor 7 / B, I should say. E minor 7 / B. And to an A minor. And then back and forth, right? You've heard that one, right? I heard there was a secret chord that David played and it pleased the Lord, but you don't really care for music, do you? Right? So that one uses that version, but it's in a million songs. And also in the key of G, these are the two most common keys. So these are the two most common passing chords slash chords that you're going to use. So G major, D / F. So D chord, bring your thumb over the top of the neck. Unless you're a newbie, don't do that. You can do it if you want, but you probably aren't going to be able to. And then an E minor until you develop your technique better, right? And then E minor, and then your D. So D / F sharp in the bass. Let's see. The Fray had a song that used that. I remember I taught it a million times when that came out. I forget what song it is. Okay. James is saying, can you explain the stages of learning guitar? What must a beginner, intermediate, advanced guitar player can be able to do? James, let's not get ahead of ourselves, but I know where you're going. So let's just focus on what we need to learn as a beginner, because intermediate and advanced may be years down the line, and if you're thinking about those things right now, you're only going to slow your process down. Just focus on the stuff as a beginner. Just like a child would learn the beginning stuff before would go straight to college. It doesn't make sense to even be looking at college stuff until you get basic arithmetic, spelling, and grammar down, and speaking, of course. So just focus on the beginner stuff. I have a step-by-step course for you that you can get into for free. It's the first link that you're going to find below, yourguitarsage.com/UGS. Search for something that says maybe like the top 30. There's several boxes that you could choose from, but that's the one you want to search for if you want a firm foundation, okay? But intermediate and advanced guitar players, an advanced guitar player is going to need to know as much as possible. There's so many different tributaries we could go down there, so it almost doesn't, it's useless for me to really talk about because it just depends on what you want to do. It's just depends on what you want to do, you know? David, yes, you can view this later. Okay. Eric, you are lovable, if not always understandable. This is like tracing a scatter diagram. Like tracing a scatter diagram. Oh, so hopefully that means you're getting it. Thank you. How critical is music theory to learning how to play the guitar? Oh, let me go back to that earlier question, Rob. I'm going to address yours at the same time. As far as a beginner, really the only thing you want to focus on, I mean, there's a smattering of music theory that you want to know, and I talk about that inside of UGS, okay? I talk about that. But really, the bulk of what you want to be focusing on is basic things like understanding how to pick, understanding how to fret the guitar, understanding how to play some chords, that sort of thing. Because at the end of the day, if you can't play some basic songs with some basic chords, no one really cares what you know about music. They want you to play a song. So the knowing doesn't really do you any good, but people would want you to start playing some songs right away as quickly as possible. So getting your fingers moving, and don't be so concerned with music theory except the little smattering bit that I teach you along the way, because that really will help you to understand as we start getting into some other stuff. And it's real simple stuff, so you're not gonna not get it. You're gonna get this stuff, okay? So as far as music theory, how critical is it? In the beginning, it's not that critical because you can literally play a million songs and never really know music theory. You'll know patterns, chord patterns, and stuff like that, and eventually you're going to be learning music theory anyhow. Because if you learn a chord pattern or way to put your fingers on the fretboard, that is music theory. You're essentially learning some. Okay, so. But don't be scared of music theory. Music theory is just like the hows of how something works. It's like physics, or basic, like if somebody said, man, I really want to cook, but how important is it to know about profiling? Like what's an acid and what's a base and what's a salt and what's a et cetera. It's like, well, it's pretty freaking important if you don't want to pour sugar in a savory dish. Like it's good to know that sort of thing. But you only have to know a little bit. It's really not as scary as one would think. Not at all scary. Okay. How do you hear the roots of a chord progression in a song? I often hear the thirds and fifths instead. That's amazing. I don't, and I think that there's some ears that hear that more than others, or that they're picking that out, I should say, and those are usually people who can sing harmonies a little bit more naturally than others sometimes. So one way to do it is to turn the bass up and turn the treble down so that you can hear that bass, what that bass player's doing. That's how I do it. C major, A minor, E minor, okay? So I've been playing guitar since I was 7 years old, and I'm 24 years old now. I'm still stuck. This is MC Perez who's saying this, 1795. I'm still stuck with half and whole steps. Can you tell me what more can I do to improve? Perez, it sounds like you're wanting a lot in a small package. Get into UGS and follow that stuff step by step. There's a reason that I created that course specifically for you, okay? Specifically for folks that are stuck and they don't know how to move on. It's because they don't have a firm foundation. So why would they be good at it? You know what I mean? It's like you got to have a basic understanding of some things regarding music. Basic left hand technique, basic right hand technique, basic theory, basic chordal stuff, basic melody stuff, basic psychology. If you don't know this stuff, yeah. So MC Perez, you really want to know, click that link, get in the free program. That's the best thing you can do. Ah, look at this. So Stivosaurus said, I wrote a song with some weird chords. Now I understand why it works. Beautiful. Gucci, that's a real broad question. How can I stop my frustration when learning? Learn step by step. Do that. Course below. I'm a natural left-handed person, but I play right-handed. Is there an advantage to that? Nope, no advantage whatsoever, playing left-handed or right-handed. You got to jump through the same hoops. What is a sign that is needed attention about your guitar or instrument, hygiene and health? I don't know about hygiene, but as far as, your guitar needing health, I think I know what you're saying there. If it's bending in some way, if it's warped in any way, or it's going out of tune a lot, or notes are fretting out and that sort of thing, those are some reasons. But I bring it to a good luthier, let them take a look at it. Thank you, Tom. Thank you, buddy. Super kind. Where can we view this later? If you subscribe to the channel, or if you don't subscribe to the channel, it'll be available to you, but subscribe, dear Lord. It'll be available later. Just search what chords go well together to write songs, and it'll be there for you. Okay, how important is it to memorize all the notes on the fretboard? It's important. It's important, especially if you want to play bar chords and you want to know your way around it. I teach it to you for free inside of the beginner section of UGS. I mean, join the movement today. It's down there for you for free. And I teach you how to do it like in 5 minutes. It's so easy that when you get done watching it, you're going to be like, why did I wait so long? Why didn't I listen to Eric? And then you're going to watch another video and it's going to reveal something like that to you and you're going to say the same thing. I promise you. It's important to know the notes on the fretboard, Yeah, where are we at? Where are we at with the likes? Yeah, let's bump it up to 400 if you guys can. Let's pump up the volume. If you haven't already liked this video, thumbs up, friends. Would love you to do that. Also, please share it with somebody, for other folks that are in the doldrums and they want to have some happiness and they want to write some songs today and all the rest. Eric, what's an effective way to train your ears? Toby, it's a great question. A great way to train your ears is to take what you hear and try to duplicate it on the instrument. End of story. That's what you want to do. Melody lines, start with something that's simple, something that's attainable, and melody lines are usually that. And you don't even have to be near a speaker to do that. You could just go, hear the train a-comin', I hear the train a-comin', I hear the train a-comin', it's rolling round the bend, and I ain't seen the sunshine. Ooh, little chromatic walk up there. Oh, I ain't seen the sunshine till I don't know when. I think he throws that little, I don't know when. There's like a little bend there. So that's what you want to do, is you want to sing a melody from a song that you love and find it on the fretboard. It's a fantastic way. It's the easiest way. Once you get bored of that, then you'll be ready to grab some chords and what have you off of your favorite songs that you love. How do I practice to hear a 1, 4, 5, 6 chord progression? James, it's a great a great question. So what you want to do is you want to listen to a song. First off, you want to find the one. If you can't find the one, you have no reference point to find all the other chords. So you want to find the one. And the way to do that is watch my video that I talk about on finding the tonal center. Search YourGuitarSage key or YourGuitarSage tonal center. If you're in UGS, you know where to look. But essentially, it's usually the first chord of the song, usually the last chord of the song, usually the last note of the chorus. There's other keys, there's other variables there that will help you in determining that as well. Just got a donation from Gregory Berry. Thanks for you designing UGS to filter out all the stuff we don't need. Your fingerstyle course and songwriting courses have been a tremendous help. Beautiful. Gregory, thank you so much for saying that. And I love that you get that, Gregory, because a lot of people, they don't realize that it's not that they don't have enough information. Does anybody in this chat think that there is not any amount of information that you want out there on the internet right now? It's all there. I mean, we've opened it up. The whole world is available. It's not that. It's that there's tons of misinformation and that there's tons of information that you don't need right now. That's the problem. It's not that you don't have the information out there. The information's out there for everything that you need. Someone is saying it. It's that there's too much information, so you don't know what to look at first, and there's also misinformation, so stuff that's just wrong. It's just plain old wrong. It's not an opinion, it's wrong. Okay? So sometimes there's opinion, but in the case of like certain things, there is what there is. I mean, this is a C chord, man. At least I've been teaching it as a C chord for like 35 years, so either I'm wrong or that's a damn C chord. That probably can't be argued. Someone will come up with some reason to argue that. Okay, so thank you, Gregory, for saying that. And indeed, that's exactly how I build these courses, friends, is I say, you're a beginner, this is what you need in the beginning. Don't worry about all this other stuff. You're gonna confuse yourself. Just learn stuff in order and you're gonna be good, okay? So, James, so going back to the how do I practice and hear the 1, 4, 5, 6 chord progressions is do what I said, do it with the melodies, right? And then find out what the tonal center is of a song. You can do this by watching my videos and understanding how to find that tonal center like I talked about. Usually first chord, last melody of the chord progression or last melody of the last note of a chorus. And then that'll tell you, I hear the train a-coming. Well, look at that. That chord starts on an E. Probably in the key of E. Last chord of the song. It's also an E. Hear the train a-coming. It's rolling around the bend. I ain't seen the sunshine since I don't know when. I'm stuck in Folsom Prison. Time keeps dragging on, and I hear that whistle blowing on down to San Antone. That's an E, and that's the key that we're in. It's also the last note of the chorus. I've mentioned this before. So there's our clues all around. You just have to know what to look out for. Once you have that, then boom, it's super easy to do. Does that make sense? Okay. That's what you want to do. Jack and Diane, that's a great song to study. And then start studying songs. And then once you find out the tonal center, write what you think that chord is. Go, is that a major chord? Does that sound major? Does it sound minor? Does it sound up or does it sound down? Does it sound happy? Does it sound sad? Guess if you have to. One of my favorite expressions from Tony Robbins is, if you had to guess, what would you say? Because he'll have people in front of him all the time and he'll be grilling them, trying to get an answer out of them that's in there, that's in their heart. And he's trying to get this answer out of them, and they're like, I don't know. And I don't know is the worst thing to say, right? It's like just like in improv. You never say no. You keep going. If you want improv, you want to keep that conversation going. If you want improvisation to keep going. And so he'll say, well, if you had to guess, what would you do? Because he knows that the answer's in there. And so try to guess in that case. Guess what the chord is. You might be wrong. You're probably going to be right. And then after a while, you'll start getting it more and more. But you got to get out there. You got to go for it. You got to pretend like you know what you're talking about. There's nobody has ever come into music and just got it. Everybody has had to work for it. Jimi Hendrix, Mozart, I don't care who you name. And if you go tell me that they were born with talent, dear God, I can't even help you, man. Like, either you get it or you don't. And if you don't, that's okay. I'll still help you, but you're just limiting yourself by your beliefs, by your anti-beliefs, okay? Everybody who has gotten good at anything in life did so by hard work. And by saying anything other than that, you're not only insulting them, you're insulting me and anybody else who's worked hard to get wherever it is that they're going. What are you really, really, really good at? Would it be right if I came to you and said, lucky you, look at how lucky you are as an accountant, look at how lucky you are as a lawyer, look at how lucky you are as a farmer, as a utility worker, whatever, as an electrician. Did you not work your ass off to get where you did? Yes. So musicians do the same thing. They work hard to get where it is that they get to. And it would be not only wrong and insulting for you to assume that they just got there like that, but also you're cutting yourself off from that greatness that you can be at whatever it is that you want to be if you apply the bits and pieces. Does that make sense? I'm getting pissed. I'm not. When do you know you're good enough or when you've made it? Well, that's a funny thing, because in Nashville, that whole idea of making it is comical, because there is no making it, and once you do make it, you go, is this it? Is this what I've done? I've made it? So how do you know when you're good enough? Don't ask that question, Jeff. That would be to know when you're good enough, because when you're making art for art's sake, then you're doing it with a pure heart. If you're looking to make it, then you probably are going to be doing the wrong thing. Even with what I do, with making videos now, as an artist, yes, same thing. I ran into it, but same thing here as a content creator. If I'm just following trends and that's the only thing I'm doing, someone dies, I create a video. If someone dies, I create a video. If someone, whatever. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but if I'm just constantly following trends, then it's going to be that, and it's probably not going to be as honest as just presenting whatever I think should be presented, okay? Nothing wrong with doing those things, but I guess what I'm saying is it could get into an area where you're trying to do things for people liking you as opposed to you just doing things because you know it's the right thing to do. When it comes to art, that's really subjective. So just write from your heart, And I guess if you've made it, if what you're doing, you can sustain yourself, you can make money. That's one definition of it, but the definition's different for everybody. Taylor Swift's definition of make it, I mean, dear Lord, that girl has more than made it. She is probably the biggest artist of all times, has made more money than probably anybody. She's a fantastic songwriter, pretty good singer, a great performer. I mean, in so many levels, she's really, really good. Whether you like her or not, she's a force to be reckoned with. That's one version. And then you could take another version where somebody's playing local clubs and they're making enough money and they feel like they've made it. And that is making it too. None of them are right and none of them are wrong, right? Okay. Any specific chords to work with? Look, my knees hurt. He got pissed off that I said that you work hard and you get it. He said, go hang out at the skate park for a few years. You'll see kids come in that get it quicker and easier than others. That's an assumption. You don't know what they're doing at home. You would have to know what they're doing every single moment. And my knees hurt. We got history. I'm just telling you to think outside of the way that you normally think. If you saw me and you see me one day and I'm playing, and then I go home and I practice for 12 hours, and then you see me the next day and you're like, dang, he's getting good. But you don't see that I'm practicing 12 hours. You're going to assume that I'm just automatically getting good, when in fact that doesn't happen like that. Al Adolphson donated $15. Thank you, my friend. Thanks for UGS. I've learned a lot. Also, if we can, support local musicians. They're out of work. Buy a t-shirt, coffee cup, buy an album. Don't skip ads. Don't buy from Spotify heard they pay crap. Yes, Spotify. Let's talk about them for a moment. Spotify indeed is they're I won't go off on them, but yeah, they're literally making it very hard for musicians to live. Not musicians, writers of songs. I can't even get into it all, but just in short, Spotify is skeevy in regards to what they're trying to do right now with the law. Super skeevy. Shame on you, Spotify. Shame on you. Acting like you're supporting writers and artists. You're liars. Liars, liars, pants on fire. Suck it, Spotify. Your service is good, though. But suck it. Hey, yeah. Are there specific chords to work with after having a stroke? I would work with the open chords the most, Mark, and you can literally, in the key of C or the key of G, you could play a million songs just with those open chords and a capo, using your capo. I teach that method in the beginner section of UGS, which is free for you today. Link is below. Open chords, and know how to use that capo. Cool? All right, excellent. All right. You know, I love you, man. Wish we could sit around and talk one-on-one. And I agree, my knees hurt. Here's the deal. If we would have to have something in a test, what do they call that? Scientific test where they perfectly test it, which even that a lot of times is not, but you have the A and B and you're watching them, they're doing the exact same thing, right? It would have to be that sort of experiment before you could actually see if someone had a more natural talent to something. And I'm not saying that someone might not lean a little bit towards that, but again, even just cracking that shell open and thinking that way is, sorry, it's always a cop-out. The only reason anybody says stuff like that is to get out of something or as an excuse to why they are not excelling. You tell me another reason why someone would use something else other than someone being born with something, right? What other reason is there than to say, well, they're better than me because they were born with that? There is no other reason to say that someone is like that other than that. Is to say they got an advantage. If there's another reason, tell me. I'm open to hear it. Otherwise, to me, it's the devil's playground. It's a crack open to the pit of hell of excuses to not excel. And if that's what people want in the world, then great. Go for it. Mediocrity is yours, and it abounds. Or get behind people who believe this way, and I promise you, the world will open up for you. I find that the more that I lean into that mentality, it's not a switch that just turns on. It can one day, and you can just get it, but then it's a constant working on it, because the world wants you, I say the world doesn't want you to be mediocre, but much of the world is mediocre, and you get bent towards that. So you have to look the other way, and you have to believe in this stuff, and you have to abide by it and stick to it. Otherwise, this is the bulk of mediocrity is over here, and excelling is small, okay? But it's all possible for you, but you have to change the mindset first. But I get what you're saying. It seems unfair sometimes, but I can promise you, when you turn that mentality on that it's unfair and what have you, that is the devil. It's not the thing that you think's the devil. The devil is you thinking that the world's unfair and that there's an advantage and everything else. Trust me, it's not comfortable to continue to think down that path. I lived much of my life in that path, and it was terrible. And I just don't think that way anymore. Even in my darkest days, which aren't really dark anymore, but even in my darkest days, I'll say, dude, you're doing it. You're going down that, you're thinking like they do. Not you guys, because you don't think like that, but I'm talking about the throng, the mediocre throng of we're robots and this, that, and the other thing. You know exactly what I'm talking about. I know you didn't sign up for this today, but you know what I'm talking about. All right. Gladwell, yes, Gladwell. Okay, so Mark, I forgot his name, something with an M, right? Is it Marcus Gladwell? I don't know. wrote a book called The Outliers. But if you read The Outliers, what he will say was, he talked about these people being born at certain times, which helped them. Obviously, if you're a caveman and you have the mind of Steve Jobs, you're screwed, because you're not going to be able to create an Apple computer because you live in a friggin' cave. Okay, so duh, you live then, you're not going to be able to create a computer back then. So if Steve Jobs, you know, if that spirit was born in a cave back in the day, he wouldn't be able to create a computer, duh. So there's certain times when people are born, like they say Bill Gates and Steve Jobs were born at a certain time when computers were it was just at this special time, and they also had a passion for what it was that they wanted to do, which is why they excelled. So there's things like that, right? There are things like my brother will argue all the time about basketball players. Well, a 7-foot basketball player is definitely going to have an advantage to a 5-foot basketball player. He sure will. If you have limited thinking like that, then yes. The fact that he's 2 feet closer to the basket, if that's how tiny your friggin' thinking is, sorry, Chris, if you're watching, my brother, I love you very much, but we argue about this all the time. Just because you think he's 2 feet closer to the basket, that he's going to have an advantage, if that's the way you think, then by all means, mediocrity is yours, my friends. But I don't think that's not why you're here, that's not why you're sticking around, it's because you know there's something else out there for you, it's the truth, and it's ridiculous thinking. But maybe that's just my opinion. Okay. All right, any questions about what it is that we were talking about, huh? Anything? Let me know. In a blind kingdom, the one-eyed guy is king. I love that quote too. In a blind kingdom, the one-eyed guy is king. Soloing over chord progressions, Eric, how do you do it? Scooby, step, it's the same thing right here. These are the chords. So first off, you need to know the construction of the major scale. If you don't, none of this is going to help you. So again, this is not me trying to get you to get into my free program that's absolutely free, that I get no dollars for. It's not that, because I get no dollars for that. It just uses resources, but I do want to help you. But this is the stuff I'm very serious about. If you don't know this stuff, you're not going to get any of this stuff. So if you're trying to solo over chord progressions, if you don't understand how the major scale works and know that these chords are going to match up like this for the most part, and then you're going to use that melody over the top of it, you're not going to get any of this. So Scooby Stap. Scooby Stap. Not Scooby Snack, Scooby Stap. You got to know that. You got to know the major chord progression, okay, and the major scale. But basically, then the notes and the chords need to match, okay? How do power chords fit into songwriting? You could write a song with power chords, right? That's a major 1, major 4, major 5. 1, 4, and 5. Your ear is assuming the major part of the chord. This is what it would sound like with full chords. Okay, you can hear the third in there now. But if you didn't include the third, you just have power chords. Okay, so your ear fills in that note. So power chord is the 1 and the 5 of the scale, or the 1 and the 5 of the chord, and it doesn't include the third, which is the note that determines whether the chord is major or minor. Okay? Yeah. I'm purposely not answering that question about the intermediate guitar player, Jemima, just because it's a real broad stroke. It's like, it depends on what you think is an intermediate guitar player. So it can't be accurately answered by anybody if they're being honest. It's like what an intermediate to one is not an intermediate to another. Okay, so it really can't accurately be answered. Does a chorus and verse need to be different chords? Nope. I feel like whenever I switch up the progression, it sounds so separate from the other parts of the song. That just takes some time, Darwin. But yeah, no. So right, before he cheats, right? Oh yeah, that one does. There's tons of songs that just use the same chord progression, for sure. A blues chord progression is just the same thing over and over again, so usually. And there's tons of songs that just stick to one chord progression, but for the most part, when you do go to a chorus or what we call a B section or some other sort of section of a song, typically the chords will change in some form or fashion or another, like a different chord is introduced, etc. Okay, so what I would say, if you're having a hard time doing that, you just got to do a little bit more experimenting with those chords to see what works, what sounds good. It's all about that, man. You sit down and you're putting chords together. One chord's gonna resonate with you more than another. You're gonna go, oh, that's the chord. It's kind of like a path, like a tributary. The water's gonna naturally go down a specific area that's natural according to the landscape, right? And you're gonna do the same thing according to all the music that you've been fed since you were a child, maybe the way that you're feeling it in that moment, your emotion. It's going to pull you towards a specific chord. And there's usually a mathematical reason, like in regards to the physics of sound and music and that sort of thing. But if you start thinking about that, now you're really getting away from being an artist and emoting and what have you. Now you're thinking all up in here. If you're in your head, you're dead. So this is how you want to think right here. We want to think with our head a little bit, want to understand some things, but when it comes to writing music, once you understand some basic bits, then you start going from the heart, right? When soloing, can I solo out of the one and hit key notes over the changes? Stephen, I don't know what you're saying there. So when soloing, can I solo out of the one and hit key notes over the changes? I don't know what you mean by that. So if you could rephrase that, that would be helpful. But you can hit any note in the scale and it should sound close. Okay. No, you don't. I see what you're saying. No, you don't need to change the key over each chord. Don't do that. Now, jazz guitar, like advanced jazz guitar. Yeah, by the way, this is a Blood Moon Venus, made by Faith guitar. And these guys are awesome. These guitars are bonkers. So check them out, Faith guitars. They sent me this one. It's not an endorsement per se. They sent me one and I am in love with it. I freaking love this guitar. Use it all the time. So jazz, yes, they typically will, if the chord is different, if it goes outside of the basic chord progression there, and with embellishments and what have you, they will typically tip their hat melodically to that chord and pull some notes out of that chord to make it sound like they're having a conversation. Make sense? Yeah. Paul, so on those slash chords, was the bass note one of the 3 chordal notes? Yes. In a strict inversion chord, we're taking a note other than the letter name or the bass note of the chord and putting it in the bass. Or putting it in the bass, yes. So for instance, a D chord is a D, A, and F sharp. Okay? There's 2 Ds in this particular D. So there's a D, an A D, and an F sharp. Usually when we say a D chord, we're going to play it with a D in the bass. But there's nothing to say that we couldn't put an F sharp, or let's say we could put an A in the bass. So now I'm playing that low A string, right? And there's nothing to say we couldn't play with an F sharp in the bass. So here's a D with a D in the bass. Here's a D with an A in the bass. Here's a D with an F sharp in the bass. this with other chords as well. So that's what we call inversions, but there's also just slash chords, which might be where you're doing like a C chord with a B in the bass, or a B chord with a, you know, so there's that too, you know, and that's just a slash chord. Inversions are slash chords as well. Yeah, somebody wanted a screenshot of that, so there you go. Take a snapshot of that right there. You can also pause the video and snapshot it, right? Okay. Friends, if you haven't already, please share this video. Share it. And if you haven't already, like it. Let's get this thing above 400. That would be much appreciated. If we can do that before the 2-hour mark, I would very much appreciate that. I'm going to be doing some Instagram lives later this week with some folks who you know, some great teachers and some great players, some producers, like all sorts of stuff. We're going to be doing some Instagram live here. So if you're not familiar with my live already, Instagram.com/YourGuitarSage, or twitter.com/YourGuitarSage, or Facebook.com/YourGuitarSage. Fairly easy, but we'll be doing this on Instagram, so we're planning on that. I've reached out to some kind folks, so I'm going to be doing that as well, if you're into that sort of thing. It does, Jeff, doesn't it? That guitar has a great sound, and this is like, this is my iPhone speaker, or my iPhone microphone. Oh, thank you, Dennis. Super kind, friend. Coming up with a progression, and there's a chord that isn't in the key of the one. How to figure out if it's different, if it's a different key or borrowed chords. What is the rule of incorporate borrowed chords? 7s, 9s. Okay, so Mark, here's the rule. Those are the keys in a major key. This would be your tonal center. In a minor key, this would be your tonal center. And those are the keys that those are the chords that naturally occur in a major or minor key. These are the ones that naturally occur. These are some of the borrowed chords, but anything that differentiates from this top here is going to be some sort of borrowed chord. They're usually borrowed from the parallel major or minor, but not always. So I don't even like to say that. Take it back. I don't even like to say that because they're borrowed from other places, and what do we care where they come from? You know what I mean? And as far as like 7s and 9s, what we're talking about is extensions there. So those don't, so you have the bass part of the chord, which is the major, minor, diminished part, but then you can stack 7s and 9s, 11s and 13s on top of it, and it still follow the structure here, okay? In fact, if you want to know as far as 7th chords, it's a major 7, minor 7, minor 7, major 7, dominant 7th, minor 7, half diminished 7, if you wanted to talk about 7ths, okay? Okay, Ripple My Nipples wants to know, what do you think about multi-instrumenting? I play guitar and a harmonica at the same time. Should I play keyboards with toes, or is it a waste to learn? Ripple my nipples, I'm sorry. I would love to see that. So if you can play guitar and harmonica and toes with your keyboard at the same time, I would love to see that. Please create a video for us. That I would like to see. Because I've seen guys with no arms playing guitar, and that's badass. So again, there's excuses, or there's getting off your arse and playing guitar in any way that you find possible. If you desire to do it, that to me, like a lot of experts will say curiosity is the #1 thing we have, right? Curiosity, because curiosity, if you're curious enough about something, you'll solve a disease, you'll create a song, you'll invent, is it Boran Slat is his name, I think, this French kid, young kid, 22, something like that, created these machines that go in the ocean and just pull out just tons of plastic and filth from the ocean, like tons and tons of this stuff every single day. And he's dropping these in these rivers before they drop everything into the ocean. He's just like capturing all this stuff. Brilliant mind of this kid. He just created this because he was curious. So curiosity leads to great things. If you're not curious enough about something, you're not going to be good at whatever it is. Okay. Make sense? Huh. Okay. Oh, know the rules in order to break them. Yeah, that's a great one. Yeah, indeed. Mozart, was it Mozart? I think Mozart said that learn all the rules and then forget them. And a lot of people say, see, he said forget them, so don't even learn them. That's not what he said. He said learn them and then forget them. So what he means by that is know what the rules are, know what music theory is, like know the basics of it. It's just like basic math. Like, let me ask you, now that you know basic math, like adding, subtracting, division, and what have you, are you walking around analyzing everything with numbers? Do you sit there and count every step? You might if you're OCD, but that's not because you learned math. Okay, so just knowing how to do something doesn't mean you're gonna obsess over it and be stuck in this music theory box. The only people that I hear that from are people who are typically not good musicians, that are lazy musicians. I've never heard that from a great musician. Never. And I've been around a few in my life. So if you're saying that, don't be that guy or gal. Also, how can I think of lyrics for songwriting? Okay, Levon, what is it that you feel in your heart? That's how you do it. You write down, right now, pull out a piece of paper, blank piece of paper. Very daunting. Blank piece of paper, and just start writing what you feel. Yeah, but Eric, it's gonna sound terrible. It's not gonna be like a poet. Well, yeah, guess what? No one in the history of ever, from Shakespeare to Taylor Swift to whoever, knows how to write now. Didn't know how to write in the beginning. And even then, now they struggle. It's still a struggle. It's why it's called a birthing process. It's because you're birthing something new. So every single time, if I took out a piece of paper here and started writing a song, I know the stuff that would come out would be, most of it would be crap because I haven't written a song in a while. In fact, one of the greatest things that I ever read in a book in regards to writing, it said write for the trash can. And what that meant was you have a trash can right next to you, and the only place that song ends up is in the trash can. You've done your job. You write and you say, not that one. You throw it in the trash can, right? The psychological idea here is that you did what you were supposed to do. You wrote. Because no good stuff is going to come out until the bad stuff comes out. Same thing with your playing. You learn what notes to play by learning what notes not to play. You learn what to write by learning what notes not to write. Otherwise, my wife, who's written #1 songs, right, has written hit songs, would be able to just like sit down with a pen and paper and just go, there's a song, #1, give me another piece of paper. I need more paper! And it would just be a matter of paper and ink. It's not. It's a matter of thinking. So you write from your heart. Rhyming is good, rhyme some stuff, but write from your heart. But start there. Start with what you naturally are feeling, okay? My wife. Yeah, my wife, I said. Probably so. How come the great writers from the 60s, 70s, 80s have nothing left to say except Dylan? Their voices would be helpful today. There is a scientific reason why that is. And I read a great book, and I forgot which one it was. I think it might have been a Gladwell book as well, but it talked about, I think it was the whole 10,000 hours bit, which I forgot the name of that book. Was it 10,000 hours? No, it was Outliers, I think, yeah. You can let me know in the description or in the chat there. But he was talking about like how the Beatles, when they hit, and just like so many great bands, it's usually between like mid-teens to like mid-20s. That's when they're in their glory days, and then their albums that are after that, they start kind of straying. And of course, they feel like they're presenting the best stuff that they've ever had before as an artist. I would imagine you'd feel like that, but there's a reason why those albums typically wane and don't present this, they don't yield the same amount of results that those first few albums did, is because they're, you know, the mind of like a 15-year-old to a 25-year-old, their brain is developing at a really, really fast rate. Now, before you're 15 to 25-year-olds, before you get too high on yourself there, your brains aren't fully developed. Scientifically speaking, I didn't invent any of this. Scientifically speaking, your brains aren't developed. Our brains aren't developed till they're about 25-ish, okay? But during that time, there's an immense amount of creativity. And that's why so much great music comes from young people. And so when we get older, a lot of times, I can tell you as an artist, for me, part of why I don't write as much as the way I used to is now I'm applying what it is that I used to write about. So before it used to be like colors and theory and ideals and this and that and the other thing, and you'd write all this stuff down. This is, the world needs to hear this, you know? And then you just start doing it. And when you actually do it, it doesn't get the same airplay that, you know, if you're helping an old lady or if you're helping someone, a friend who's going through a divorce or something, that's real life. That's the stuff you sing about. But if you're spending the time helping somebody out as opposed to writing about it, that's time that you would have been writing the song. So you're actually helping somebody out now. So for me, that's what I find, is that now in life, I'm spending time with my boy and I'm spending time with my wife and I'm creating a business and I'm helping people and I'm meditating and I'm living what it was that I wrote about before. And so I don't have a whole lot of time to write. There's that. Levon, you're 14, yet I can't write. That's not true, Levon. You can write. What you mean is you can't write the quality stuff that you want to write today without doing the work. And that, my love, is true. It takes digging in the dirt. It takes starting to write. It requires you writing crap before you can write good stuff. So indeed, Levon, you could be the next Taylor Swift, you could be the next Mozart, you could be the next Jimi Hendrix, but you're not going to know it until you step out in faith and actually just say, this is what I want to do, just your desire. Look at people like Shania Twain or Taylor Swift or whoever it is, Mozart, whoever. All they wanted to do was music. All they wanted to do was exude music and write. And that's exactly what they did. And if the day that you say, I don't want to do it anymore, is the day that your voice stops in regards to that. And the day it starts is the day that you say, I'm going to do this. And it may, and still, just don't expect that glory is just going to come out of your pen or your guitar immediately. It doesn't. It's never worked like that for anybody. So it's definitely not going to work like that for you or me. The greatest composers of all times, it didn't work like that for, okay? They might have lucked out. We have friends here in town who have come out of the gate and one of their first one or two songs went to #1. And then they step into the writing room and they think they're big as crap here in Nashville. And of course, life kicks them in the ass because it's not like that. It's like, yeah, that's a fluke that happens every now and then. But let me see you do 40 of those. Now, we got guys in town here that have written 40 #1 hits. Okay, they're very far and few between. There can only be a fastest runner. There can only be one fastest runner, and then there's a second, a third, and fourth, and what have you. But the next year, that #1 runner could change. The guy who did more work, or the guy that did more work, or the guy, whatever. There's all sorts of variables in there, right? Okay, beautiful. You guys are crushing it. All right, we've gone over 2 hours here. Should we keep going? Should we keep going? I'll tell you what. I will keep going if you guys do some sharing here, and let's try to get it over 425. Say like in the next. If you guys would like this video, say like in the next by 1:15. Okay, I'll keep going a little bit, but I probably need to end it here pretty soon. Okay. Yes, Kenny Rogers passed. Rest in peace. Kenny, great artist, man. Loved Kenny. In fact, that's when I really started listening to country music, was in the like early 80s. That's the kind of country music I listen to. That and then the real old school country music, like the 50s and stuff. That's what I consider old, 50s, 60s, 70s. And then the 80s. I loved that country music for sure. How do you get a job as a songwriter? You become a really good songwriter. So you get a job as a songwriter by songwriting, first off. No one ever gives you the job before you are a great songwriter. So become a great songwriter. That's how you get a job as a songwriter. And then you move to Nashville and you pack up your car with a dream and you risk it all and you move to Nashville with zero hope of, well, no, lots of hope of becoming a signed songwriter, but zero promise. And you hit the streets and you get your name out and you play and you play and you play and you play and you write and you play and you work and you write and you play and you write with other people and you write crap and you write and you keep writing until you start becoming good, and then people start noticing you, and then people want to write with you, and then maybe you get a writing deal. It's not the easiest gig in the world, but it's all 100% doable. But it's not easy. But what profession is easy? There's competition in everything, right? I don't know how to explain it. This is Levon Coleman. I have the chord progressions and the title, but can't start the first line. I don't know if this is considered writer's block. It is, but writer's block is just a word that people create to label something. Just you can throw that word out the window. It doesn't really even exist. It's a word that we throw on things. The way to fix that is to just keep pushing forward and to write crap. It's just like a faucet that hadn't been turned on in a while. There might be some cruddy water in there. You got to turn it on first. You can't just be like, oh, cruddy water. Oh, cruddy water. Ooh, it's cruddy. Just turn the freaking faucet on and let all that shit come out, and then the good stuff will come out after that. But you got to do that, right? I heard you say people donated. How do I donate? Chris, on the bottom left-hand corner of the screen, you'll see a little smiley face, and next to that's a little dollar sign. You can click that, and then you can donate. Shout out to John Denver, Tom is saying. Hello, John Denver. My wife actually met John Denver back in the day, and it was one of her songwriting heroes. Pretty cool, right? All right, we're waning here, my friends, so we're probably going to call it. This is about what I did yesterday about this time. So we've had a great day here. We've learned a lot. We've learned a ton, so I think we're going to call it. We did not get up to 425 on the likes, which is fine. I was planning on going anyhow here. So, oh, I just got a donation. Thank you so much. JMax619CA5. I don't know what that means, but thank you so much, and I love the little avatar. So kind of you to donate. Thank you, bud. So appreciate that. We've had a great time here today, my friends. Let's go out with some parting thoughts here. You are a songwriter. Indeed, 100% you are a songwriter. Here's how I know it. Because any combination of more than one note is a song. Maybe a very simple song, but you could take a simple song like bum 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 bum, right? You could take that the alphabet song, right? Or Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, written by arguably the greatest composer in the world, Mozart. So there you go. It's a pretty simple song. He also had some more complex things as well. But bottom line, if you can put more than one note together, if you can put two notes together, you're on your way to writing a song. Throw a third note in there, throw a fourth note in there, get crazy. You can string more than one chord together. Two chords makes a song. There are plenty of hit songs that just have two chords. In fact, there are plenty of hit songs that just have one chord. I've got videos on this. I've got 2-chord songs. I've got 1-chord songs on YouTube. Search YourGuitarSage 1 chord, YourGuitarSage 2 chords. And you're going to find hit songs written with just those 2 chords. So don't give me that crap that you can't do this. You 100% can do this. you're a songwriter, okay? You have it within you to speak. I didn't wake up this morning scripting all of this. I had a basic idea of what I wanted to do. You do this every day when you go to the office or you go to school or whatever. You don't script everything you're gonna say. You have a basic idea. You see Bob, you see Tim, you see Susie, whatever, and you start talking about whatever it is that you talk about. You improvise. And so we have all these same bits and pieces in us. If you want to learn more, study more from the masters. Study from people that are doing great things. If you want to write like Led Zeppelin, listen to lots of Led Zeppelin songs and start analyzing them. Start writing them down. What it is that they're doing, the chords that they're writing. This is all within you, friends. This isn't just a pep-up talk to bolster you up. I have zero time for that. This is just the truth, and so I want to share the truth with you. There is something called the Unstoppable Guitar System. If you're not familiar with it, you can join this today, friends. You can join this revolution today, this movement today. We literally, with what I have on another site and what we have in the Unstoppable Guitar System, we have over 500,000 people taking these courses, okay? And that many people are taking these courses not because they suck and because they're not learning things step by step. It's because they're learning things step by step and because they're great courses that will get you where you want to go. And the beginner section of UGS is absolutely free. And you may be saying to yourself, yeah, Eric, but I'm an intermediate or an advanced guitar player. Cool. I've had intermediate and advanced guitar players getting this same program and say, I didn't know that. I didn't know that. I didn't know that. So you probably don't know everything that's in these programs, and it's there for you for free. You might as well really establish that foundation so that next time when we go live and I'm talking about this stuff, you're not going to be lost. And when you watch my other like 1,300 videos that are here on YouTube, you're going to understand this, okay? Not only can you get in UGS for free today, you can also test drive the whole enchilada for 30 days for $1. Get out before those 30 days. That's all you spend is $1. I have so much free stuff for you, it's just not even funny. So you have zero excuses other than if you just don't want to improve, okay? Everything's here for you. I love you guys. Thank you so much. This has been absolutely great. Is it? Yeah, you've been absolutely great. Love you guys. Thank you so much for hanging in here. We'll do this again tomorrow. I'll be also watching out on Instagram Live because we're going to start doing some stuff there too. In fact, I'm going to probably call my crew here shortly and we're going to talk about all that. All right, love you guys. Thank you so much, and I'm out of here.